Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. It's the June 28th meeting of the Rotary Club of Louisville. Thank you, Charlie Kastner, for the introductory music. I'm President Tony Kemper, head of the DePaul School. To lead us in our invocation is Jerry Martin. Jerry is Vice President of River Hill Capital, LLC, a Paul Harris Fellow who recently celebrated his 50th year of marriage, I understand. Congratulations. And he has been a vigorous member of our Lifeline Committee, especially in his support of honor flights. Jerry?
As we gather today to install a new president, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jerry. And now, Ken Grossman will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and our four-way test. Ken is owner of Executive Image Custom Clothier, a Paul Harris Fellow, and has performed a superlative job this year as chair of our Speakers Committee. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you very much, Tony. You definitely qualify as one of the best past presidents we've ever had in about an hour. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I was reflecting a little bit on our four-way test, and every time I say it, it gets more meaningful to me. And in today's politically charged environment, I think if our leaders would just listen to these words, we'd be in a better place. So please join me in the four-way test.
Is it
the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
If everyone could please remain standing for a moment. During this Rotary year, 4 of our beloved members and friends passed away. And we acknowledge them now. Joe Hardesty, Dr. Henry Fairley, Marie Humphreys, and Tony Grant. And it's also the truth that many of us in this room this year lost loved ones, people very dear to us. And just know, Rotarians, in times of loss, this is a place and these are friends to whom you can come for comfort and for companionship. Let's enjoy a moment of silence, reverent silence, please. Thank you. Please be seated. It's great to see everybody. It's great to be in term as directors of the club. If you would come forward, please, would love to acknowledge you. We have something for you. First, Chairman, Office Environment Company, and Director Kelly Burke. Kelly? Executive Director, Nativity Academy, Carol Nord. Financial Advisor, By Farnsley, Advisors, Charlie Farnsley. And unable to join us at the podium because of an injury, but President and CEO, Gilda's Club of Louisville, Karen Morrison. Karen? Thank you all. We're so appreciative. And now we have 2 members who have served in special capacities for this Rotary year 2017-2018. Managing Director of Questus Trading, he has served as our Vice President, has been a very important voice with regard to financial matters, Mike Shackelford. Mike. And someone who has been a tremendous partner this past year, the year before. She has served as chair of our Rotary Fund Board, our immediate past president. She's principal AOB Consulting, Alice Bridges. Thank you, Alice. When technology's in my hands, it's a very dangerous and unpredictable thing. So forgive me in advance for what will be inevitable mistakes. As an educator, I speak a lot, write scripts. This was the most difficult presentation to put together. 2 years ago, I thought I knew what Rotary is and what Rotary does. 10 minutes before my term concludes, I confess that there's still so much more that I need to learn and I want to learn about Rotary and its impacts. So to try to summarize, it's not just a year, it's been the whole time I've been at Rotary, I think since '94. Is next to impossible. This presentation may be clunky. We call it a box of hammers in terms of educational presentations, but let's see how it goes. Thank you. About 14 months ago, as the leadership term was beckoning, it's the responsibility of the incoming president to come up with a theme. You know, Alice's Connect for Good, and mine this year, thinking about what would be a theme where we could come back to it time and time again, remarks could be shaped around it. So after I learned that the theme for Rotary International was Rotary Making a Difference, I began reflecting, okay, in 3 words or fewer, how can this club, this year, be significant difference makers? As an educator, I recognize the power of examples. Examples, especially when they're great examples, they perfectly clarify that which is murky or unfamiliar. Examples can illustrate, they illuminate, and they inspire. Some examples, and think back to your school days or think back to a presentation where somebody held something up or placed something in your mind. Whenever you think of a concept, you go back to that specific example. The 2017-2018 theme for the Rotary Club of Louisville, as it's placed in front of the podiums this year, has been our Rotary example. So each week I've tried to weave into the proceedings a reminder that we're called to be examples in our personal, civic, professional lives. And as Rotarians, I believe we're called to be examples in 3 significant areas. Those are our character, our philanthropy, and our service. So, how have we done this year? How have we done this year? On Tuesday, I joined a group of fellow independent school leaders in Frankfurt. It's our end of the year post-mortem meeting where we get together and talk about the achievements that we've realized. We talk about the challenges, we talk about any projects that are going on during the summer. It really is a delightful time. This year, it was different. we all met around the table at Serafino's, and it looked like we had just finished running that 26-mile marathon, and we were still panting heavily. So we talked about what happened this year? Why? Why are we so beaten up, and why are we so tired? There was a dominant theme, a consistently voiced concern that emerged. An increase in rudeness, callousness, coarseness, and bad manners. Not from the kids, but from the grown-ups. As Rotarians, we are called to be examples of character, women and men of integrity as we interact within and influence our business and our community. As you have indeed been those examples this year, I want to say thank you. So what I did, I took out the Rotary directory and I started paging through, looking at your photographs. And I thought, so with this person, what is that character attribute that pops into mind? Some of you back there are smiling. I see you, Patrick. Yeah. Because for yours, I would say commitment. But as I saw many of your photographs, I asked myself, what character attribute does this person exemplify when I am with him or her, or when I've been with you this year? Now, I'm going to save names, but for one of you, I immediately saw your face and thought, encourager, humility. This Rotarian's photo, this speaks of a combination of gentleness and yet strength of purpose. That's quite a tandem. This Rotarian illustrates a reservoir of kindness in all circumstances. And I smiled as I landed upon one photo. This is someone who once said after a meeting, I have a concern, I need to speak with you. And the person said this, and this is part of the professional development that has been so much a blessing to me this year. The person shook my hand and said, I wanted to make sure that I shared this with you face to face rather than by phone or email, because that's the respectful way to communicate. I thought that spoke volumes of this Rotarian's character. Well, we just heard it from Ken Grossman, but let me ask, how many times have you heard this word just this week or read it? Rotarians are people of action, and I tend to think of that action as our service, but no, it's much more than that. I'm grateful that you, Rotarian friends, exemplify civility by how you act toward each other far outside of the walls of the Fraser. Don't you agree with me? We need to be out there as Rotary examples of civility and character. Last week, President Tory Murd McClure spoke of what she'd legislate if she ruled the world. Well, in the 10 minutes or so that I have left as president, if I could mandate one thing that went far beyond this meeting room, it would be that everyone needs to behave like a Rotarian and follow the four-way test, especially that last line, which has become a real mantra for me in leading a school community, making the difficult decisions we all have to make. And will it be beneficial to me, right? No. Or just you? Or no. Will it be beneficial to whom? All concerned. Wonderful business practice. That's not going to happen as much as we would like. But in the meantime, let's join the other 1.2 million Rotarians worldwide, and let's commit to be people who exemplify in a tumultuous season examples of character. Second part of our Rotary example is our philanthropy. Philanthropy is a Greek word. When you look at the etymology, you see lover and you see humankind. I think that's neat. When we think of philanthropy, we think of giving, okay? Reaching into the wallet or the pocketbook or the purse. But really, philanthropy means loving others. This year, we've had opportunities to love our neighbors and love those whom we may never, ever, ever see through our financial gifts. Our club membership has given generously to support efforts which uplift and dignify. So, what examples have we set this year with our philanthropy? Okay, so the challenge, the charge, this began back in the retreat for committee chairs and board members and such back in June. But we set, here's our goal, $100 per capita to the Rotary Foundation, $100 per capita to the Rotary Fund of Louisville, and then 100% participation. So look at how we've done. We set a $45,000 goal for Rotary Foundation, and to date, we've realized $62,000 or $136 per capita. So once again, we're a star club. That's significant when it comes to matching for our grants, and you're to be applauded for that. As far as the Rotary Fund, when we fuel the Rotary Fund of Louisville, that's our endowment fund, right? That's our fund. When we fuel that fund, it generates the money that allows us to love humankind through our service, okay? It's that simple. Well, this year, and it was at, I believe, last week's Rotary Fund Board meeting, we realized that this year our club has directed through our loving of humankind $93,000 toward our service projects. That's just an incredible number. And then as far as Polio Plus, because again, remember, we're this close, right? We're this close. This year, $3,925 donated to eradicate polio, and our goal was $3,500. So I want to applaud you. I'm not the most comfortable person when it comes to asking for money unless I really believe in the cause and know that we're making a significant difference. Thank you for responding this year, and please give yourselves a hand. So, people of great character who love humankind can't help but be servants, right? It's just what Rotarians do. And that service in its various manifestations transforms lives locally and internationally. Now, please be sure at your tables to pick up one of the flyers, okay? Alice, thank you for producing those. The abundance of touches that we have with humankind. It's just remarkable. We love people. Combine that with the fact that we're people of action, and really, really significant stuff happens because of the Rotary Club of Louisville each year. Uh-oh. Okay, good. Those projects, those touches that we have with our community, first, education and youth. Rotary Promise Scholars, Rotary Promise Mentors. And as I thought about the mentors, and Walt's here. Walt, I don't think you were here at the meeting when we acknowledged that our club received the award for Outstanding Youth Service Project for 6710. So Walt, wave your hand. Walt, where is Walt? There you are, Walt. Thank you. Congratulations to all the mentors. You know, when we have the chance to interface with our youth, that's where, too, our Rotary character, our civility, our first belief, maybe for some of them, shines through. So it's not just that we're teaching them, we're showing them, we're illuminating for them. But look at those. The Promise Scholars Program, which continues to be stellar for us, the Rotary Promise Mentors, You guys are heroes. You're rock stars in kids' minds, by the way. Rotary Youth Leadership Academy, or RYLA, the Unsung Heroes, which is always a fabulous annual event. Other education youth, it continues. The Ted Burke Scholarship, the Rotary Speech Contest, Imagination Library, and Shannon Kogan will be coming to an upcoming meeting to give us an update on that Imagination Library project. Rotary Leadership Fellows. You know, as far as the speech contest, I was chatting with Karen trying to remember something. But you know, again, in terms of how our character is an example, okay, now, Karen and others, correct me if any of this if my memory is not correct, but the winner of our speech contest was a senior who's essentially homeless, right? And others came dressed to where they could join us here, dressed impeccably, well coiffed, the whole 9 yards. She was not. All she did was dazzle with a speech from the heart. And again, trying to paraphrase, I've been trying to get with Karen on this, but she said something like this. I think 80% of this is spot on. She said, "I'm just so amazed that I could be recognized by people like you." People like you. Isn't that interesting? I wonder what she was thinking there. People like us. How about community? The award-winning Life Change program at the Louisville Rescue Mission. I've shared that project and the story of that project with so many friends, including folks at church, and they're astounded by that. Repair Fair, Project Warm, Salvation Army bell ringing. Okay. Trees, Louisville, the canopies of trees that are now at Iroquois and Western high schools. Those of us that enjoy fellowship as we're serving at Louisville Public Media's telethons, honor flights of the bluegrass, heard about that lately, right? Boys and Girls Haven Projects, Habitat for Humanity House. Last summer, it was, I think, a week or 2 weeks into the start of my term, and visited with, some of you were there, right? That house on Bank Street. And if you remember Jerry and others, Mike Fallon, those that were there, I'm going to stop because I hate to leave names out. But this mom and her mother were preparing lunch for the celebration in the kitchen, and the kids were excited. There's this new house on Bank Street. And the mom just kept saying to everybody, "You just don't understand how much this means to us." Isn't that neat? Transforming lives locally and internationally. The dignity of being a homeowner. International. And this too is where we shine. Polio Plus, the Breast Milk Bank in Brazil, water and sanitation projects in Colombia. In Ghana, water and sanitation combined with medical equipment. That was through our supplies overseas. Thank you, Denise. We also know that in El Salvador, kids are able to go to school and stay at school because they have healthy, clean, well-sanitized restrooms. Haiti, supplies for a pediatric clinic, and as dear members of our club work in Haiti to reduce the scourge of cervical cancer. Women's clinic and care. The industrial laundry just approved last week for a community in Bolivia. And then what we do for immigrants, I can't see that, there we go. Oh, Kiva, microloans for immigrants. So, people of action, people of character, people of philanthropy, people of service. So this year in personal professional circles, sometimes even it's at school and it's 11:15 on Thursday and I'm putting on my jacket or grabbing my Rotary stuff, and typically at least one person a month. Why? So where are you going? Going to Rotary. What is Rotary? What do you all do at Rotary? I love those conversations. So here we go. Enjoy these. Rotary has been highly involved in a branding effort this year. So what is Rotary? What do y'all do? Do you make a difference? Who are you? We're people of action. What do? We transform lives. Where do you do it? Locally and internationally. How? Through our service. I am more excited than ever before to be a member of the Rotary Club of Louisville, and thank you for all that we together have done this year, 17-18. You're appreciated. Thank you very much. Concluding remarks first before President Berry comes up. Alyssa and Kenzie, thank you very much for all that you have done this year. We are so appreciative. Thank you to Amy Robbins and Penny Peevler at the Fraser. For the past 3 years, Alice Bridges has served our community in executive leadership. Alice has some end-of-year remarks to share with us, and then we will bring President Berry to the podium.
Stay up here, President Tony. Because I have only one job, and that is to say thank you on behalf of our club for all that you've done and your leadership this year, and for really being our Rotary example. We want to thank your family too for sharing you with us so generously. I am going way out of my comfort zone, and the incomparable Charlie Kastner is going to accompany me and all of you as we sing a tribute to President Tony, which is a tradition of our club. So, join me. This is a little tribute to the character of our wonderful president, set to the tune of King of the Road. Join in. Our president, he's so classy, he's a gent, so clean, so cool, so sharp. He can even play mouth harp, but each Thursday at the mic, masterful just as we like. He's our Rotary example, king of our club. Rapid change, he showed skill, yes, he showed range. New office staff and place, he led through all with style and grace. He managed it with so much cool, all while serving DePaul's school. He's our Rotary example, king of our club. Tony, our president, never mean or decadent, so cool, so clean, so sharp. He can even play mouth harp, but each Thursday at the mic, masterful just as we like. He's our Rotary example, king of our club. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the very best
Alice
presidents
Bridges.
this club has ever had.
Alice brings the pipes.
Now, we do have some parting gifts. Since Tony is an educator and a curious thinker, we thought it would be appropriate to give you a gift card to Barnes & Noble.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Alice.
We have a inscribed gavel. And then the ever coveted past president pin. Give it up for Tony Kemper.
Thank you very much. That was very, very special. Now everybody sit back and enjoy a peaceful transition of power. A dear friend I've known, you've known him too. He's all over the community, literally. He's the executive director of the Transit Authority of the River City, and soon to be the best president we've ever had. Our dear friend, President Barry Barker. And this will be
Don't go away. I got a present for you as well.
Oh,
I started last year. Now, don't expect this from every conference I go to, but I saw these and I thought, got to get it for you.
this is one he got for me earlier this year too, so thank you for keeping me well dressed.
Wow. Yeah, what they just said. Have a nice day, all. Let me introduce the folks who are going to be helping to maintain my sanity in the coming year. And that's the folks who are in their second year of service on the board of directors. It started out saying final year of service, and I thought that was too final. So, baseball mom extraordinaire Maria Smith, she's not with us today, and Renee Brown. Somewhere. Oh, he left. Okay. Rick King, who, if you ever need a spare watch in times of trouble, he helps out. And then John Walzak, who's always got a spare animal in his pocket. And then beginning 2 years is the woman you can listen to anytime you want on 89.3, actually in the afternoon, Jean West Lasavio. Kevin Lynch. And Kevin and I trade stories because it ends up that literally we grew up blocks from one another in Massachusetts. In fact, he grew up in Winchester, I grew up in Woburn, and it's solid rivals. Didn't know him in those days. Walt Canal. Walt. And Steve Eggers, who used to be a back alley neighbor at one point. But anyway, I was supposed to have gotten you all up on stage, but if you... Oh, the officers. I forgot that page. President-elect, one of the best president-elect nominees we've ever had, Luke Schmidt. Vice President Karen Morrison, you're back again. Treasurer Joe Ackerman, and Secretary John Jennings. Thank you all. They're going to keep me sane. Really, 50 cents. All right, would you indulge me for a moment, and those of you who are past presidents, please stand or wave. things that was incredible to me, one of the experiences, and it occurred just 2 weeks ago, was the past president's dinner. And about halfway through folks reminiscing, everything started to focus on me. And it was very humbling. It was a very much a growth experience, and I was frankly in awe at that point. And to give you an idea, folks, you remember Gregory Peck and doing Douglas MacArthur? Remember the movie? And he talked about the long gray line, which may have a different meaning here at Rotary, but and he talked about, yeah, think about it a minute, Luke. Yeah, you got some of it, right? I prefer silver myself. But he went on to talk about, he was talking to the cadets, and he talked about the core, the core, the core. And having just spent the last few days in Toronto and looking at Rotary International, it's an amazing organization. It really is. And the thing, Rotary is awesome. All right, you've heard me say that before. The more I learn about Rotary, the more awesome it gets to me. The work is awesome. I want each of you to pledge to help me populate next year's slideshow, presuming that technology is still available. But in all seriousness, to fill in those blanks, you are awesome. Think about the good that you do. Rotary is an incredible force for good, and there's not enough of it in the world today. And so please keep that going. There are so many angles to Rotary, and it's incredible what you can find. I wandered around at the conference, and do you know there's a Rotary Fellowship for surfing, for sailing, for wine tasting. And my favorite, I had a long conversation with a woman who was building a fellowship for curling. So now there was some incredible pieces, some very finely tuned projects. You know, the breast milk bank, some of those, and then some diverse projects. There was an interesting project that I'm still working through in my mind. It was soccer balls as a deterrent against human trafficking, against sex trafficking. And I still have to work that some to figure out just how that works. But it gave, in all seriousness, what the soccer balls did is gave the kids confidence that they could be an individual. They did not have to follow whoever was trying to impact them at the time. One of the things we want to do this year is communication. And Tony went through some of this and gave some of the answers, but I think what we need is who, what, and when should we be? The challenge, what do we want from Rotary? What do we want to give Rotary? And look inward, but most assuredly outward, service above self. Remember that when the next time the food's not quite up to what we'd like it to be. What does the world see in Rotary? What do we want the world to see? So that'll be the communication. We've got a few logistical issues that we've got to deal with this year. People have asked me over the years, what do you want to do? What drives you? What are you about? And What I want to do is leave the world a little better for having walked through it, for having been part of it. And we sit here and we are part of something that's much bigger than each of us. That's an incredibly collaborative effort. You've got me putting in those hesitations, Tony. So if I didn't learn anything today, I'm trying to get those down. So what should we look at? A slogan for the year, a thought for the year. Rotary, a fellowship of leaders. Because we are, right? I mean, part and parcel of the fact that brings us together is that we are leaders in other circles, in other parts of our lives. Right? But let me, a word of caution, and I keep repeating this for myself. When I was in college, I took part in a bed race. Okay, yeah, this will come back around. And what the individual training us, this was the thing where the bed race went around an oval in the quadrangle. Try and picture that, if you will. But what it was so the bed race, right? So what happens as it goes around this oval, fresh teams of people rush in to help keep it going. And the person who trained us, said, be very careful that when you're pushing the bed, push it this way, right? Not this way. Because if you push it this way, it's only going to go as fast as the slowest person. If you push it this way, then you're accomplishing what you set out to do. You're getting that bed out ahead of everybody else. And I repeat that to myself at times when I say, well, my signature's not on it, or, nobody asked me about that before they did it, right? And you got to say, hey, if it's getting in the right direction, it's going. So we're also going to build membership. Alice is already off and running. She's taken that under her wing and already has some incredible plans for that. But let's get some more people engaged, right? Because it's worth being engaged in. I've had a chance to work with Larry Sloan and Jerry Martin in the energy that the two of them put out. But we went and visited with Catholic Charities, and Catholic Charities is undergoing a labor trafficking. They want to put a dent in folks who are forced labor, which is pretty amazing, right? But part of the conversation, the people we were talking to talked about some folks who had scarring and so forth. And by the end of the day, Larry had hooked up a friend of his who's a plastic surgeon with the folks at Catholic Charities about doing that. And that was just a side little spin-off. So that was pretty amazing. Now we've already done we've done one session with two speakers. That's what's confusing me. And another session is being planned with the Attorney General. He'll be here later this month. He is not coming to speak politics. I'll remind him of that. But to talk about what he's trying to do against human trafficking. And about, in particular, I want him to dwell on what he thinks we as a club, we as individuals can do in the whole area of opposing human trafficking. There are more people in slavery in the world today than there have ever been. Now, part of, in thinking that through and thinking that through as a program, one of the things I got to was something called Rotary Consult, right? That what happens, and you saw the speakers we had on sex trafficking, amazing levels of energy, but not the book smarts, right? Not the ability to sit down and fill out all the stuff for a 501c3 or for whatever the case may be. So I want to look at something that has got a tagline, and I ideally would like to hear back from folks about whether this makes any sense, but something called Rotary Consult. And we use it, I was thinking primarily outside the organization, right, of helping folks like our speakers and other folks where it may make sense. But in terms of fellowship, probably also makes sense in sitting around the table here, that if we can offer each other advice and that sort of thing, you know. And then also the notion of taking a look at that data. And the phrase is big data these days, right? Well, maybe ours is a little more modest, and it's medium data. But is to take a look at what we know about ourselves. You know, I mean, Tony went through an astounding group of statistics, right? But I think we could improve how we look, enhance our credibility, enhance our ability to understand what it is we're doing, to understand what we're trying to do. And I think perhaps, I hope, that looking at the data may encourage and may create a niche for some of our younger members. All right? Because I sure as hell can't run those machines. And once upon a time, I had an engineering degree, so. But above all, let's have fun in the coming year, okay? And thank you for all of your support thus far. And I look forward to working with each of you and getting to know each of you better. So thank you. Is July 5th, which is next Thursday. David Karam and Deborah Blinsky from Waterfront Park will be here to tell us about their plans. So please come join us. It's the day after July 4th, so you may need some sanity. And so come have fun with us. And with that,